Hi guys and welcome. Gnembon here with a video about how to control spawning of end gateways, as well as how to influence their teleportation algorithm. So let us look how we can influence exit gateways spawning locations. Unlike the end gateways on the main island which spawn in predefined places, the final location of the exit gateways is determined upon the first time a gateway is being used. What happens then is the game tries to find the closest space on the first island in a straight line that connects the entrance gateway and 00. What it does, it goes 1000 blocks away from 00 in this direction and searches for an island to spawn the exit portal. If it encounters an island, a physical land, it will gradually step backwards towards 00 to find where this landmass ends by looking at the first chunk that is empty. And then, or in case we initially spawned in the void, moves forward a bit to find where the landmass begins again. These move attempts, forward and backwards, are limited to 16 hops of 16 blocks each, meaning the actual spawn point can be plus minus 256 blocks away from the initial one. And we can explode this behavior to make the game think it just encountered a huge island and needs to move closest it can go to the main island. We could use this technique to move all the portals closer if we wanted, but 4 of them, which form exactly in line with X and Z axis, are the easiest to trick, as the game would be checking for blocks and chunks in a simple straight line. If you just converted your world from 1.8, you are in the best situation, as you don't need to deal with the dragon and you can move all the exit portals as you please. If you already killed the dragon and used a few end gateways, they cannot be moved, but you can use them to easily access the far islands to prepare other end gateways that haven't spawned yet. If you just entered the end in 1.9, you can simply bridge away from the main island or use a flying machine to get to the outer ring. Once you are there, you can start tweaking the content of the chunks so the game would think there are 4 biggest islands in 4 main directions. For that, you have to start by locating a block that is 1024 or negative 1024 on one axis and 0 on the other. We will start here with a positive axis and place a block that is not an end stone at exactly x 1024, y 29 and z 0. When we stand on this block, we can notice that it is exactly in the corner of a chunk by looking at the position within the chunk on x and z, which should be either 0 or 15. Now we have to wiggle around to find other 3 neighboring corners of other 3 chunks, like so. Now, to double check by crouching between them, we should see how X and Z positions within chunks switch between 0 and 15. Now we know that exactly where these blocks meet is the end of a 1024 blocks long vector that points exactly from 00. The game will start searching for an end island from one of these 4 blocks. Now we need to create a 2-wide bridge towards the main island up to X 768. That's the closest to the main island where the portal can spawn. When we reach 768, we need to perform the same chunk corner check to locate current 4 chunks that can be home of the future tiniest end islands. Now, depending how the floating point rounding went at the beginning, the game would select one of these 4 chunks as the target chunk to place the exit gateway, so the safest bet is to provide the game with a valid spawn location in all 4 of them. For that, we need to go into these chunks a little bit and place an end stone block at y30 or above to count as a valid head of the end island. The portal would generate exactly 10 blocks above one of these blocks we have just placed. We can go as high as we want, but the most practical location for all intended purpose is the lowest one. The final setup looks like so, with an end stone in corners of 4x4 square at y30 and a strip of 2 white land at y29, going out to the distance towards 1024 on either x or z. And that's what you can repeat on all 4 axes if you want to prime all 4 of these end gateways. Sometimes we can end up with a point 1024 blocks away from 00 in the middle of the existing end island, but that's not a problem. Just go to 0 and -1 on the other axis at y29 and continue to bridge out to 768. Let us repeat the procedure on negative z for instance, again 1000 blocks away from the main island. Then place a cobble at x0, y29 and z negative 1024. Stand on it, perform the chunk corner check. Once we have all that cleared, bridge away towards main island to z minus 768. Absolute numbers stay the same, just the sign changes. When we arrive at Z-768, another chunk corner check, and then we can place our 4 fake islands at Y30. We could repeat the same procedure 20 times for each end gateway, but since they do not follow a simple line parallel to either Z or X axis, it might be a little bit more complex to figure out exactly the locations game would perform the chunk checks. But if you are interested in it, stay tuned for further updates, because it is actually quite beneficial to have many of the end perimeters available. What would be the reason to have more than one? Because you can easily have 20 different projects that would typically lag the server in normal circumstances, like a giant sheep farm, crop farms or complex storage systems, completely isolated each in its own space, with a simple access from and to using end gateways, each providing its own lag-friendly environment. You can easily transport yourself and goods to and from these locations, and if you break the bedrock blocks around the end portal using pistons or dragon eggs for example, you can transport any entities as well, because anything that would touch these portal blocks would be teleported to the exit portal locations. Now comes the tedious part of killing up to 20 ender dragons until all the gateways we wanted have formed. When all the gateways we wanted have generated, we can now block these that we haven't found use for yet, because since nobody have used it, the exit portals will not generate, meaning that they can be primed later. Mind you, if you break these blocks and the block items fall through the portal, the exit portal will be generated, so we can use blocks that don't drop anything when broken like glass for safety. Now we can check the portals we prepared earlier. We can see that all of them have generated correctly, and if we put them side by side, as they are placed in the world around the end island, we can notice that they typically generate on smallest of X and Z coordinates. So it seems like we wasted a bunch of cobble here because we could just do one side, but I found that this was not always the case for worlds converted previously from 1.8, so it seems safer to provide the game with 4 locations anyways, rather than risking portals to be spawned in its default locations. Now, once we have all the portals ready, let's look how they teleport entities. End gateways teleport any entities on contact. So by throwing an ender pearl, we are essentially ender pearling into the portal itself and then are immediately teleported to the destination. Sometimes the gateway teleports the thrown ender pearl entity itself, which means bedtime for us, because as soon as we got through, we load that ender pearl, which may be heading in a direction we don't want it to go. I guess the end gateways are new and still needs some extra care from the developers. To choose the point to teleport to, the game chooses the highest block within 11 by 11 area centered around the portal. That is a solid cube, meaning that building walls like this to prevent us falling down is generally a bad idea, as we will be teleported to the top of these walls anyways. The better option would be to raise the target block by 1 so we have a safe ground around that we can step onto. The same trick I used in the Enderman farm, where all the roof and walls are made of blocks that do not belong to the solid cube category. Glass, stairs, slabs, enchanting tables and double carpets, which also prevent Endermen from teleporting to. The highest solid block is this diamond block below the end rod here, and this is the location we will be always teleported to. It feels a little bit like a teleporter right from Star Trek. Also, all the items that we thrown through the portal will end up in the same spot, making it a convenient way of transporting goods. In this case, the top block of the destination needs to be solid, so we need either a hopper minecart below to pick up items for us, or a water stream above to take the items to the hoppers. In terms of tricky situations, if we teleport from here, we end up stuck in something that doesn't look like anything, but in fact, we are simply inside half slabs that restrict our movement. Since they are not solid blocks, they don't count as a valid location to teleport to, so we have to teleport to that block. We can also use gateways to conveniently transport mobs as well, especially shulkers. They don't like to be covered with blocks unless they are piston heads, so it seems it might be tricky to get them through this bedrock covered spot, but to do it we just need to extend them quickly by 2 blocks before they realize, like so. And you can have a shulker on the main island quickly and easily. Next thing on the list of practical uses of End Gateway teleportation mechanics is really fast elevator, as fast as an Ender Pearl cooldown time. What happens is we have a solid cube block way up high above the portal, which would be a block the portal would teleport us to. By facing the gateway in a certain way, we can synchronize the exit gateway to drop us so we face the exit gateway in the same fashion, allowing us to go back to the main island without changing directions. Here we have an example of a trap using gateway teleportation mechanics. I mean, all of this could be used for cool pranks, but this is classic. We go through and we have no chance in a drop in the void or lava. What happens here is that purple block is the only solid cube except this bedrock here that we can teleport to. Entire trap is wide enough so the blocks here where the tripwire hooks are attached to are just outside of the 11 by 11 area, meaning they don't count. So when we spawn here, the floor immediately retracts, dropping us straight to the trap. At the exit we are teleported exactly in the middle of this platform. Why? Because this is the only solid cube on this platform, the rest are slabs, which don't count as a possible teleport destinations. Just as a final note, if you still have ender dragons to kill in the future, try use only endstone, obsidian and iron bars for railings to build around these gateways. Otherwise, all what you have built could be destroyed by the end dragon. That's all what I prepared for you today. With this knowledge, I think you should be able to shape your end as well as the gate network to the way you want it to be. So if you found it cool and useful, please leave me a like, share with others, and drop me a comment in the comment area, and see you in the next one. Bye bye! Let's see it in action one more time. Still needs some extra care from the developers.